So
what
exactly?
crazy? Recently, I can't say what show it was for, but I was flown out to LA. After I was flown out to Dallas, I got to hang out with Melonie for like an hour. And like literally, the next week they flew me out to LA for something. I can't say what it was, but it was for a YouTube show. And it was feminists versus anti-feminists. And
hey, I think I know what that is.
You can't say it out loud. One of the first questions that they asked us was like, I forget what it was. It was something to do with feminism, and I was one of the people that was like, well, listen, like, how can you be a feminist or an anti-feminist when you can't even define woman, which is what defines feminism?
Yeah,
like it's one of the things that defines feminism. These people couldn't define women.
Wow.
And I rolled my eyes and I was like, this is. I mean, I'm great. I'm very thankful that I went on that show because I was one of the sane voices, to be honest. And they were like, well, how does it affect you? How does it affect you? It affects me because I am a woman and I'm attracted to women. And when you're fighting for women's rights, even if it's not in this country, like I was supposed to post a video today about feminism and the actual feminist movement that's happening over in Iran.
Yeah.
And my friend Raina, who's a trans woman, is experiencing all that crap right now. And it's just crazy how we have the juxtaposition between actual feminist issues, like, even trans women, doesn't matter, biological women, trans women living in Iran, where if they don't wear a hijab, they get beat up, they get killed, right? By the morality police, which is illegal, by the way. I didn't even know that the morality police exists, but it's actually not part of the government. It's like this secret, it's like the Illuminati over there or something. I don't know. And then you have misgendering and neo-pronouns over here. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
I can't.
And like, what do you even do? I don't know. It's not so easy to just move, I guess.
Well, the interesting thing with her is she went to college in the States and then went back. And as soon as she went back 2 years ago, and I think the last year, the uprising has been continuous because one of the morality police had killed, I forget what the girl's name is, Masha Ashari or something like that. Some M, was a name with an M and then a last name with an A, and she was covered up more than like the average Islamic woman, which was weird. And supposedly they killed her. It wasn't the first time they've done it. It was just the first time that it made news. It was newsworthy in the West, and it sparked like this insane protest that wound up becoming vicious, for a good reason, obviously, for women's rights. And it's still happening. And like, I think it was like 15,000 people were arrested or sentenced to death for going against the government. It's pretty crazy over there.
Dang, now I feel bad. I did a show on Saturday and I was doing some in New York City, which I'm like, all right, I'm going to make a regular habit of this because I need to stay on the pulse of what a New York City audience is like nowadays. Like, just I need to work that muscle of like
I can tell you
a mostly vaccinated crowd, basically. And I was trying to crowd work to these couple of girls on the side, and they were like brown. I don't know what their like breakdown was, and I was like asking them a couple of questions, and they weren't answering. And I was like, what are you guys not allowed to talk? Where are you from? I was like, what are you, Iranian? What are you from, Qatar or something? And like,
they probably were.
So bad because what if they were? They did not like me, but it was fun.
They weren't going to like you anyway. That kind of person.
They did not like me.
Ooh, there were a lot of Gen Zs in the crowd. I was calling a lot of the young men in the crowd top G's. They all loved it. So I'm just trying to stay up with what's down with what's up. Those gals did not like me. They probably will not be back. But it's good. It's good to keep doing stand-up. Oh, John Kakoza.
Hi, John.
Hi, John. The View makes you dislike women and want to tune them out. SimpCast is like hanging with your female friends that don't get offended and can laugh. Oh, thanks, John. Andrew Robb, thank you for looking out for straight white men like me. I feel so loved. I had a very interesting interview with Ryan Stone earlier this week. He was recommended to me by Ali Drummond, and he's one of these guys like in the manosphere, but he's not completely insufferable, and he's not,
Right.
he's not a fan of Andrew Tate, not a fan of Jack Murphy, like very much not like I'm not like the other manosphere guys.
Oh God.
And it was a very interesting conversation, and I think he, I hate giving it under the umbrella of like self-help, but I think he approaches advice for men in a very unique way.
Mhm.
And I was so fascinated to talk to him because like anything that has to do, like I minored in women's studies. I've always been interested in psychology and the genders, the sexes, like how men and women relate. Like that will never change no matter how I grow or evolve or my politics or whatever. And just getting into like the psychology of like how men like straight men like navigate relationships and like sort of the games they play, like they're not games per se, but the testing and the ways in which he helps men basically like take like keep their self-respect in relationships, because some men will, just like women, will completely lose themselves in a relationship. They will become doormats, they will forget who they are, they'll stop hanging out with their friends and pursuing their own interests. And there is a certain type of guy who in a relationship will they'll stop seeing their friends, like their wife or the girlfriend will become everything as far as the emotions go. And when they break up, it's like they become what's called like emotionally homeless, because they're only talking to that one woman. It's but he approaches it in a really interesting way. Like, yes, it's almost like there are some games that you have to play or some tests that you have to do just to make sure in that those early phases you're not letting someone take advantage of you.
Right.
And also the idea of like you have to keep dating and seducing the person you're with, which I think is so important no matter who you're.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting conversation, and I was like pleasantly surprised because you hear manosphere and you go, okay.
I think that's been hijacked. I think the whole that manosphere red pill, like just like feminism and whatever movement else you want to put on it, it has been hijacked by these crazy black and white Tate kind of people, and you're like, you need to chill, buddy, like relax, calm down. And I think it's going to end up having a negative impact down the line. Maybe not now. But it's been hijacked by
Candice, do you feel like you have a son, right?
Yeah, 2.
Oh, did you sneakily have another baby?
I did. I hid it. I did.
Oh my God. How old is he?
Just a few months old.
Oh, he's fresh out.
Fresh baby.
Oh my God. Now I feel like you've always been based and cool. Do you feel like having sons changed your opinion on anything man related?
I don't think it really changed my opinion because I was never in the camp of like just hate an entire gender. I always thought that was foolish, but I think it definitely brought out like a ferocity in me that wasn't there, because now I'm like, I will die on this fucking hill. So it's definitely a topic I talk a lot about, because like you see the serious consequence not only to young boys and men, but like society and culture at large, because you can't just villainize half of the population and expect there not to be a negative outcome of that.
It just seems so tired to blame men for. It's like, okay, you're blaming the men of today for shit that the men that are long gone, long dead have done a long time ago. So it's like, how is it?
There was this like this feminist, I don't remember what her name was, but she was on the Jon Stewart show, and she was being so rude to one of the guests who was a man, and she's like, you've spoken long enough, we've given you 400 years, and he's like, what are you I'm 45 years old, what are you talking about 400 years?
Wow.
What?
Do you think he's in the face of Bo or something? He's just like infinitely this old and like he's just been in all his power.
Yeah, it's delusional thinking, just sloppy.
We love men. There's always going to be an air conditioner that needs installed. There's always going to be IKEA furniture that needs to be put together.
Yeah. It's funny. Earlier, my mom and I were trying to plug stuff in like a certain wall in the kitchen, and we noticed on that whole wall, none of the outlets are working. And so I'm like, Dad? And he's like, all right, I'm on it. He goes in the garage, comes back. It should work now, and it worked. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah, that is the one thing I do find kind of hilarious about like this whole red pill thing. I've gone down the Just Pearly things rabbit hole on her channel. Love her.
Do you know what I was supposed to be? This is not known to the world, but I was supposed to be on that Vice thing.
Oh my god, I'm obsessed. I've been talking about that on every show.
They
That Vice
contacted me. Yeah, no, and I was on a road trip with one of my best friends, taking him.
Why
to
did
Texas.
you do it?
Oh,
You
I was on a road trip, and
shit.
my best friend needed me. I was taking him down to Mexico for treatment, but so I was like, oh, contact Sydney, and then the whole plane fiasco happened. And then this whole thing happened with the actual debates that are on that channel now. And I was like, I take full credit for all of this happening.
Wow, if it weren't for you, she wouldn't have had her fat gate on the plane.
She wouldn't have had the fact. Yeah, she wouldn't have
and
that.
then the Vice channel. Yeah, Sydney Watson and God, what is even her real name? I just call her just Pearly things or Pearl.
Her name is Pearl. Her real name is Pearl. Her name is Pearl. Yeah.
I'm like, I forget her. I'm like, I know her last name isn't Things.
No.
They were both on the Vice Feminism panel. And it's so wild because if you watch Sydney's recap video, they shot for 4 hours and they only put about 45 minutes.
I want to see the full one. Like, give us the.
I want to see the full one too.
You know what's funny is, and I mentioned this to Sydney, because Sydney, when the video came out, she was texting me. She's like, "Can you watch it for me? Because I'm gonna make a video reaction." And I was like, "Of course." And I watched it. I'm in my car watching it as I was driving somewhere. And I was like, okay, pause. I was like, tell me how. At least in the edit, the first person that talked on a feminist panel was the trans woman.
You know what I would love to see? I would love to see Sydney and Pearl do a full, they should do it soon while it's fresh in their minds, still like a full recap video so they can discuss like what were your best points that were left out, what were the like spicy moments that you feel like were cut out, because
Sydney did post a video recently. So Pearl, I don't think did. I think she did like a bunch of clips, but Sydney did like a full recap, and
that was good.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, they cut out some bad things that I said that she would have regretted, so she was, grateful. Because when you're in the moment, it's difficult to sometimes you get just frustrated and you say stupid shit, and then you're like, oh, they got to use it against me. And then she said that they took a lot of her good content out as well. So then that's why she posted her video about it. Yeah.
Huge. And I messaged her. I was like, dude, I respect you so much just for not, like, who knows? Maybe they cut it out. But like the fact that neither of you appeared to completely lose your shit, which is like what I would have done. I would have been roasting. I would have called that lady a sack of potatoes. Like I would have gotten so mad and said all the worst shit. Like they would have had to like probably drag me out of there. I would have just resorted to name calling.